Greco
Okay, great.
at gmail.com.
Okay, it's 3 after.
This is not our inaugural meeting. Inaugural meeting for this year.
So I think we can start. Beth, I am going to have you, if you don't mind, just flipping through those slides for me because it's not working on my end. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the Organics Council, February 9th.
Would you mind making it like full screen? Is that possible? If you go to view.
Okay. View
slideshow.
Okay.
Thanks. We gotta go back. All right, so hi everyone. Welcome to the Long Island Organics Council meeting this evening, February 9th, 2022. Our vision is that the totality of Long Island's wasted organic materials will be sustainably managed. And our mission is to build relationships, share best practices, challenges, resources, and create opportunity for collective action. We are glad to have regular meetings every other month on the second Wednesday, and we welcome you, if you're not already part of our Facebook group, the Long Island Organics Council, to join us on there. And you can email anytime, share our email with any friends or colleagues who are neighbors who are interested in getting involved. You can email liorganicscouncil@gmail.com, and we will add them to our list and make sure that they get invitations to this meeting.
We hadn't talked about doing introductions.
We're going to do the round robin of introductions after Ron and Michelle's presentation, if that's okay. So then I will, we can close that, yep, and I'll give an introduction to Ron and Michelle. So, but first I'm just going to say the steering committee of the Organics Council, we have Beth Fiteni, Joy Dougherty, and Judy Greco, and myself, Rachel Carpatella. And today we brought in a couple of speakers for all of you, which, if I can just say, have inspired me in my work in the town of Greenburgh, but then also in starting the Long Island Organics Council. I thought what they've done and inspired in Westchester can really catch fire here on Long Island. And I think that there's the opportunity, and I'm so glad to share their work with you today, and for all of you to hear what they have done. And then also for there to be, you know, a discussion, and for everyone to ask questions, and to do a little brainstorm session together about the possibilities here on our little island. So over the last several years, Michelle and Ron have been instrumental in launching sustainability initiatives throughout Scarsdale and Westchester County. Together, they have helped all 7 Scarsdale schools, a number of houses of worship, and Scarsdale Village launch food scrap recycling and zero waste programs. Their efforts have made a tremendous impact within the Scarsdale community, as well as throughout Westchester, as other municipalities, schools, and organizations have come to Scarsdale to learn and launch their own zero waste programs. In addition to zero waste programs, Michelle and Ron have worked on a number of other successful sustainability initiatives in Scarsdale, such as the passage of a gas-powered leaf blower code restrictions, LED streetlight conversion project, furniture donation, take it or leave it shed, textile recycling, cooking oil recycling, tennis ball recycling, additional recycling education and expansion, updating Scarsdale's tree code, creating a solar code, which streamlines the solar application approval process for residents, and the electrification of the Scarsdale Village fleet. Michelle and Ron have also worked with Westchester County to create a county food scrap recycling program, which supports existing municipal food scrap recycling programs, as well as helps new municipalities in the county start food scrap recycling programs. Michelle and Ron serve on the Scarsdale Conservation Advisory Council, as well as other local civic organizations and sustainability committees. Michelle holds a BA in political science from Columbia College and a JD from Cornell Law School. She and her husband, David, live in Scarsdale with their 2 daughters. Ron holds a BA in economics from Lehigh University and an MBA from Columbia Business School. He and his wife, Rachel, live in Scarsdale with their 2 sons. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here, Michelle and Ron.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle, and Ron's going to wave there. So thanks for the intro. So we'll just go through tonight, what we've done and how you can take it and put it into place in Long Island. Ron's going to kick it off, and this is what we do. We go back and forth. So Ron's going to kick it off tonight. We flipped a coin.
So I'm going to share my screen real quick, so hopefully everybody can see this. If anybody has any trouble with the slides, just throw it in the chat or raise a hand. But we really like to be visual when we present so people can see. I would just ask if everybody can go on mute so there's no background noise. That'd be great. Or you know what, maybe Beth, if you can just go through and mute everybody, that'd be great. So Rachel, thank you so much for the intro. We miss you here in Westchester, but the great thing when people move is that it helps it spread all over the place. And one of the great things about talking to communities in new areas is you'll become the model for Long Island, and then you'll start it, and then people will come to you, and then it will just start up a whole new pocket of an area. So today, what Michelle and I are going to talk about is municipal food scrap recycling. We'll touch on some other things as well, but the crux and the focus of this presentation is about how to start a municipal food scrap recycling program. And we always find what is a best first step is to make sure the folks that care and that are going to do it have a really deep understanding of how easy this program is to implement, how easy it is for residents to participate in, how easy it is for a municipality to start it and to run it, that it's cost effective, that it's beneficial both environmentally and in other sustainability ways. So we're going to go through on these slides and show you what this program looks like, first from the resident experience. So how do they recycle food scraps? Then from what it would look like operationally. So when you talk to your Department of Public Works or your villages or your cities, you can explain that it's not a heavy lift, that this is totally feasible. We'll touch on what the financials are like, how we've done outreach to get people to sign up. And then we'll also touch on some of those other recycling initiatives that Rachel mentioned, many of which, by the way, came about because people started recycling their food scraps, and then they would come back to us and say, I have such little trash. Here are the things I have left in my trash. How do I get them out? How can we recycle them? And so we ended up starting more recycling programs from this. So I'm going to hand it over in a second to Michelle to start with what does this program look like from the resident side. But before we start, we just want to say one thing as we're talking. You're going to hear us talk about the term food scrap recycling rather than saying composting. I think everybody on this call knows what composting is. But the reason that we like to use the term food scrap recycling is twofold. The first is we want to differentiate a little bit from backyard composting. We love backyard composting. Michelle and I, we both do it, but this is a very different program than that. And the second is we really want people to think of this as just another recycling stream. Just like we recycle paper, we recycle bottles and cans, let's recycle food scraps. It's no different to the resident. And we really try to make the program into that type of program that is just like you put paper in one bin, now you put food in a different bin. So I'm going to pass it along to Michelle to kick off the resident side. Oh, let me make sure this moves.
Great, thanks. Yeah, So the way it works, so we'll just explain how it works from the resident's perspective. You get what's called a food scrap recycling starter kit. So these are the bins and the compostable liner bags that you need to be part of the program. So the municipality, we'll talk about this later, but the municipality buys this in bulk. So a resident will purchase this from the municipality that keeps them in stock. That's important. We don't just send people to Amazon because we want to make sure they get the right stuff. And it gets sold to the residents at cost. So the beige bin on the left, that is your kitchen pail. So you get lined with a compostable liner bag. So you see that roll of liner bags in the middle. Those actually are made out of, they look like plastic and they feel like plastic, but they're made out of corn. So those are compostable liner bags, which means that they're plant-based. And those line the inside of the bin, and all of your food scraps go in there. Now, Ron mentioned how this is different than backyard recycling. So as everyone here probably knows, backyard recycling, you can recycle your fruit and vegetable scraps, your coffee grounds, eggshells, basically purely vegetarian scraps go in the backyard recycling bin. No heavy oils, no dairy, no meats. But in this program, you can put in everything. So we send these food scraps to what's called a commercial composting facility. So they not only take those compostable liner bags, but they take meat, bones, fish, dairy, bread, rice, pasta, all the things that you can't put in a backyard bin go in this program. And what it does is it makes the program comprehensive. It makes the program available to people like me and Ron, and maybe you guys, who we also backyard recycle, but we realize there's a lot of stuff that can't go into backyard recycling. And it makes the program available to people who aren't going to backyard recycle, or who are maybe only going to backyard recycle in the summer months, but they aren't going to go back out there in the winter through the snow, or when their backyard pile freezes and they can't turn it, So it really makes the program open to everyone. It also makes the program really easy. We call the program a one dump method program, right? Because you can literally finish your dinner, and let's say you have a melon rind, or you have some bones, or whatever scraps you have left on your plate, and you just scrape your plate straight into that beige bin. So you're not sort of separating it out, and that just makes it really easy for people to participate. So then, I should also mention, you can put in anything from nature can go in this bin. So in addition to food scraps, you can put in paper napkins, paper towels, even if colored, wax paper, parchment paper, wooden toothpicks, wooden bamboo chopsticks, wooden popsicle sticks, anything from nature can go in that bin. So it's really comprehensive. And then when those little bags are full, you put it inside that larger green bin on the right of your screen, which we call the storage and transportation bin. That's a locking bin, and that's the bin that you're going to put into your car, and you take to that drop-off site that Ron showed in the first. Okay, so you take that bin. So that's my daughter holding the bin, and so she's taking the bin to our drop-off site, and she's going to dump it right into one of those collection bins at our collection area, and then that is literally the end of the resident experience. So I'll let Ron take it from here.
So residents come to the drop-off site, they drop their food scraps off, they're gone. And then their next resident comes, and that's it from the resident's side. And just like we wanted to make it really easy for a resident to do this, we needed to make it easy for the DPWs and the towns to manage it. So what does it look like from their end? How do they set up this drop-off site, and how do they operate it? Well, the first thing we do is we use special organics bins at our drop-off site. So what it makes a special organics bin? It is bright green in color, so we're not to be confused with commingled recycling or single stream recycling or trash. They are extra heavy duty, so they're extra heavy thick plastic. Everything is fully sealed. So sometimes if Michelle and I, we spend a lot of time looking at bins, you'll see little cracks in the bin, or where the the silver tip bar in the front is going through, or where the wheels go through. So in this bin, it's fully sealed. So why is that important? That makes sure that no smell's coming out of these. It makes sure no liquid is going to come out when they're being tipped into the truck. And since they're extra heavy duty, they can handle the weight. Food scraps, they are heavy. So you want to make sure that they can handle the weight that goes into them. So the way that it works for the municipality is we have this site literally taking up 2 parking spots. As you can see, we didn't build anything fancy for it. In Scarsdale, we do have a recycling center. So we took a couple parking spots. If you don't have a recycling center, so for example, in Greenberg, they didn't have a recycling center open to the public. They put it in a parking lot near their pool complex. Some places have put it in their village hall parking lot. You really just need it somewhere where it's feasible for a staff member to check on it maybe once a day. So what do? We put all of the bins, the empty bins on one side, and then a staff member will wheel up somewhere between 3 to 5 bins to the front. The reason we do that, rather than just lining all of the bins up in the front, is we want these bins to fill up before we open a new one. So what we don't want to have happen is there to be 20 bins up at front and everybody's putting a little bit of food in each one. Because then what happens is you're waiting a week before pickup and you don't want somebody to open a bin that has food that's been sitting in it for 6 days. So we want when a resident drops off to have a nice, neat, no smell experience. So in this case, they'll fill up these bins and then they'll get wheeled to the other side and they don't get opened until pickup day. So it's a fully sealed bin, it's not getting opened. So when you come to visit, and this is the next step that we do with everybody, will be to have you actually come to the site and visit. We'll give you a tour, we'll be out there, we'll be showing you everything, and there will be no smell. There's no bugs, there's no animals chewing through these bins. We've had these bins for 5 years since we've been using this program, and we've had the same bins out there. In fact, we often like to give tours in summer, so it's really hot out, so you can see that even in summer, it's just no issue. One note on that, just in case any hauler ever tells you, never, ever, ever, ever put a dumpster here, because a dumpster is going to be that problem where you throw your food in, it's sitting there for 6 days, and then the person that comes on day 6 is opening a dumpster full of food that's been sitting in a hot metal dumpster. Usually bees will fly at you, flies will fly at you, will smell. It's just like a terrible experience. And a hauler might try to tell you to do that because they only want to pick up one bin, but you have to do what's right for your residents. So from the municipal side, this is it. You don't have to hire somebody to manage it. Nobody is staffing these bins all day. They come by once a day, check the bins in the front to see if they're full. If they're full, they wheel them back, and then they put up some new empty bins. And you'll get a sense as the program grows, do you need 3 bins up front? Do you need to go to 5? You'll just figure that out. And whatever the number is that you fill up in a day, that's what you'll put up there. So I'm going to pause here for a second and hand it to Michelle to talk a little bit about the finances of how this program works.
Okay, so one of the things, that was very important was we wanted to make sure this program was easy for other municipalities to set up and inexpensive. So, and also transferable. So we made it, we tried to make it all of those, and I do think we succeeded. So what you can see here is that we've divided up the expenses into 3 categories. So the startup expenses are what you have to spend to have this, to basically start this program. You need to buy, we put 20 toters, that depends, it might be less than 20 depending on how big your town is, but we put in 20 toters, that's $2,500. And that sign that you saw in the background of the last slide, that was about $400, right? Right, so there's the sign. So it's a $3,000 startup cost. And what I mean about transferable is that, let's say you have a town that wants to, is looking to build a new site, or, our supervisor has the best site and it's almost ready. It's going to be ready in a year. this is something that you can put, let's say, in 2 parking spots of your village hall. And then when your site is ready, some grand, if there's like a big project, you can move it. Because all it really is 20 bins that have wheels and that are stackable and a sign that can be moved. So that was done sort of very purposefully that, even if you have to change sites, that can be done easily. It's also just not an expensive program, right? I mean, $3,000 for a program that serves an entire community is not an expensive program. There's many programs that just in most communities that serve only small segments of the community that cost much more than that. And this is really open to everybody. The operating expenses, so moving on, those are the annual expenses. Those are how much it costs to have a carting company once a week come and pick up the food scraps and bring it to a composting facility. Now, this depends on, how close you are to the facility and, other factors. In Westchester County, it's about $500 a month to have a pickup a week. So that comes out, and then we have the liner bags, $500 for compostable liner bags. So those large green bins at the site, we do line those with compostable liner bags. We do that because the municipal staff really likes to keep the bins tidy. It's easier for them. They don't have to be lined, but we recommend it. So that's about $500. And then outreach and publicity, we bought a banner. And so that's just an approximate amount. So your yearly expenses are about $7,000. And then the third category is reimbursed outlays. So that's what your municipality will spend to buy the bins and the bags so that they have a stock to sell to residents. But they're reimbursable because once the resident pays for them, the municipality gets reimbursed for the amount. So yes, it's an outlay, but they do get reimbursed. In all of the municipalities that we work with, we always have them do this because otherwise you're sending people to Amazon to get bins, to get bags where it's much more expensive and they could get the wrong thing. So Ron, I think mentioned, we tested all the bins, we tested the bags to make sure that they work well. We tested them at a variety of price points to really come to the ones that we chose for our starter kit. We're not making any money off of it. We're not, affiliated with these companies at all, but we just found these products to really, really work well and people like them. So those are the reimbursable outlays, and those are the 3 costs. So as you can see, it's a very inexpensive program.
So just so you can see, this is where the food scraps go. This is to the compost facility. You can see the pile on the right you can still see the bags in it. You can see some stuff. That's what it looks like as it's getting dumped, and then they does mix wood chips. Some people always ask, what happens to these food scraps? So they take all the food scraps, they mix it with wood chips, and then they aerate it and turn it. And on the left, that's the finished compost. I think, this audience, I'm sure, knows all about this, but we always like to show people what happens to their food scraps because, as you're probably not surprised, not everybody knows what compost is or thinks about it. And, we tell them it's basically the food that's in soil. So I'm going to talk a little bit about outreach and how that works and who does that and how we've been successful in signing up so many people in our community. So outreach really is the purview of the volunteer group. So this program is a real partnership between your municipality and your volunteers. Now, the volunteers don't run the program. I mean, Michelle and I, we co-founded this with our municipality, but this is a municipally run program where what we do now is get people signed up. So how do we do that? We go out into the community, we bring those starter kits, and we talk to people. I mean, we do lots of other things. We do banners and articles and press releases and op-eds and all of that important stuff. But really where you're going to get people signed up is going out with 2 or 3 other volunteers. We'll bring 10 of those kits with us. We'll build them into a pyramid, and we will just go up and talk to people and say, hey, did you know you can recycle food scraps in Scarsdale? And you know, in the beginning, people would look at us and they would either say, no, I didn't know, or they would say, what are you talking about, recycling food scraps? Or I don't even know what compost is. And we'd say, we have a minute, can we show you? We would show them the bins, we would show them the kits, we would explain why we're doing this. You know, many people in Westchester don't know that we burn all of our trash in Westchester. I know in Long Island, they burn a lot of trash. In all of our region, we burn a lot of trash. Putting food into an incinerator, food that's made up of water and nutrients, it's just not a very beneficial thing. But we can do something beneficial with it. So we get that piece as well. So we get the what, the how, and the why. And what Michelle and I will do, we can't do this all by ourselves. We're just two people. But what we'll do is we'll coordinate. So we'll look at the calendar and say, okay, what are good events that are coming up? Oh, there's a farmer's market. There's outdoor concerts. There's school plays. There's school fairs. Wherever there are people and they're not just, you know, rushing through so you can talk to them for a minute, we'll do it at our recycling center. And then we'll reach out to other people in our committee, or actually we'll reach out to a lot of people who have signed up for the program and have said to us, I want to help. How do I get more people signed up? And so we'll say, you know, we're going to go to the library. It's a beautiful Saturday. We're going to go to the library from 9 to 12. Can everybody, who can give us 1 hour? And then everybody will stagger and do 1 hour, and we'll talk to people. Now, a real key when you're doing outreach is making sure you have the right folks doing it. So what are the two qualities that are really, really impactful when you're doing outreach? You need somebody who's outgoing. So if you just set up a table and have some bins there, you know, usually people aren't going to come up to you. So you want people that are willing to, you know, walk up to strangers, and you want people that are positive and happy. We have not talked once about doom and gloom, or, you know, we don't go up to people and say, if you don't do this, the world's going to die. That is not what's going to resonate with folks. What we want to do is explain to them the benefit of this, how easy it is, and that, you know, just like you recycle your paper or your bottles and your cans, we can recycle food scraps. And we've had so many people sign up. You know, in the beginning, you had those folks that backyard composted. You had the people that knew what compost was and have always wanted to do this. But in the ensuing years, we're getting people that never even knew what compost is, what we used it for, who are now doing it. We've had people that were skeptical at first, and now they're some of our biggest supporters. So this is a real piece that you will get out what you put in. The more time you put in getting out to events, the more people will sign up. And just one note on that, it is a really fun thing to do. You get to meet so many people in your community and get to talk to them about it. So I'm just going to pass back to Michelle to talk quickly about one really fun event that we do. Oh, Michelle, you're on mute.
Sorry. So one fun event we do is called Free Compost Give Back Day. And it's a day where we get back a lot of the compost that was produced by our food scraps. Residents can come, they can fill a bucket with the food scrap, with the compost that came from their food scraps. So it's just a great way to say thank you to residents for participating. And for those who aren't participating, we sign them up. So there we are. There's our pyramid that Ron was, you know, talking about. We create those pyramids everywhere of bins everywhere we go. And, you know, we like when we sign people up, we also like to have a kit in hand to give them and say, start tonight. So this is, you know, this is what you guys all know. This is sustainability, right? Living in a closed loop. So, you know, our food scraps get turned into compost. The compost is used to grow more food. And those scraps are then used to create more compost. So it's what we're doing with this program. It's the most important piece of the program to us is creating a shift to closed loop living, and really getting people to identify with living in a closed loop. It's more important to us than, you know, the metrics, than the cost savings, than anything else, because this is really, this mental shift to us is really what causes even the larger changes in our society.
And so we just wanted to also show you some of the other things that Rachel mentioned. Other recycling that we started after starting food scrap recycling. We'll just go through these really quick so you're aware of them, because we're always happy to share how we've done them. So we started plastic bag recycling. We actually did this during COVID when a lot of the supermarkets were no longer accepting plastic bags. Below that, we take eyeglasses. We partnered with a local Lions Club to get them to people in need. In the lower right, many people have, we have textile recycling. And the upper right, the shipping container, we have furniture donation. So there is a local nonprofit in Westchester that gets furniture to people in need, but they run on a shoestring. So it's very hard for them to pick up from people's houses. So we put a shipping container and that people can bring their furniture to our recycling center, and then the nonprofit can just come to one location now and pick it up. A few more things we've added. On the top left, we have Cork Recycling. That gets made into footbeds or flooring. On the upper right, you can see Michelle with our cooking oil. A lot of people, you can put cooking oil in compost, of course, but it's a little bit messy to be dumping gallons of cooking oil, especially around Thanksgiving. So we have a drum. It gets filled up. We have a company that picks it up free of charge. In the bottom right, we have book recycling. This goes to a for-profit company that either resells them, which we think is great. They're putting used books that are in usable condition back to people. If they can't resell them, they'll donate them, or they will recycle them. And we actually, most recycling programs cannot take books because of the spine and the glue. So this company partnered with a book recycling company where they cut that spine off in the glue and they recycle the pages. And then in the bottom left is our take it or leave it shed. So we have an area where people can come and drop off usable good things. We get a lot of sports equipment, bikes, small furniture, toys, games, and people can just come and take them. And we just get that out of the trash and we get it to people that can keep using it.
So just two things on this. Sorry. Yeah, just two things really quickly. So none of these programs cost us any money. And also, if you visit us, our food scrap recycling is like catty corner. So if you visit us, we'll be able to show you everything.
And so we know we gave you a lot of information. Just consider this really just the first step. We want you to understand how this program works. And if your town is interested, we'll help you all along the way. Everything that we showed you here, from materials to vendors to bins, we help you with all of that. So I'm going to stop sharing and happy to take any questions if people have.
Well, one person in the chat had a question about where are our food scrap recycling bins, and Dubitsky. So we have a recycling center in Scarsdale. So we put our food scrap recycling drop-off spot, those green bins you saw, we put them in 2 parking spots at our recycling center, which is it's 110 Secor Road. And if you come visit, or if you Google Scarsdale Recycling Center, you can get the address. And if you come visit, that is where we would meet you. It's literally an outdoor tour, right? So, and we'll show you everything. Ready for other questions? I just wanted to answer the one.
I know the program inside and out, but seeing the presentation just does not cease to amaze me. It really is incredible. And I know the metrics, and I know you said, oh, the metrics, so we're excited about the close up, but do you want to share just how many pounds? What are we talking about here? What?
Sure. I mean, we're picking up just in Scarsdale, just from the municipality, about 6 tons a week of food scraps. But just want to reiterate what Michelle said. What is our goal? What's our ideal metric? Our ideal metric is 0. I mean, we don't want people to waste food. We want them to rethink their habits. Now, obviously, there's always going to be food waste, and there's always that part. But our favorite stories are the ones where people come to us and we're like, I didn't really think I had food waste before this. And then I realized, I would order in and have so much leftovers. And on Sundays, I was just clearing my fridge out and I changed my habits. And that is the best, even though the irony is it reduces the metrics, That's what we want. We want to get to zero.
Amazing.
And we
I
have
see
two
Claire
people
has
with their
her
hands.
hand.
Oh, two people.
Yeah,
I'll let
Claire.
Beth or Rachel
Okay.
do the
Beth,
calling.
do you
on
want to
people.
do Beth? Do you want to do Q&A or do you want me
Oh
to do
no,
Q&A?
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I see Claire has her hand raised, and then we'll go to Karen.
Ooh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I was curious, well, two things. I'm sure you're going to share their emails or contact information at the end of this, I hope.
We'll put them in the chat right now.
Okay. And then also, I'm wondering if there's a money-making proposition, which is a fantastic thing. I mean, that's how you can sell it the best for the town, or this compost facility, the commercial compost facility, that whatever, that there's some money to be made by doing this.
So
That it's not
yeah.
all, it's not all being nice, you know.
Sure.
That
So
the town could make some money and the,
so a couple things that
Yeah.
our town does not do the composting. We send it to a commercial composting facility.
Mhm.
We'll talk about the town piece for a second. That commercial composting facility is actually it's a private enterprise that was started by a trash hauler.
Mhm.
And it actually didn't exist before all these programs started. We were sending it out of Westchester County to the nearest compost facility. And a local hauler, one of them who was doing some of this hauling, realized that there's a business in this.
Mhm.
And so we love it. They started a business, and now all of our food scraps stay local, stay in Westchester. And what they do is, obviously we do pay them a tipping fee to tip, and then they sell it, the finished compost. Now, to get to your point about the town,
Mhm.
disposing of trash in this world, especially in the Northeast, is only getting more and more expensive, very much so. There is no more place to put it. You know, a lot of us are burning it now. It is very expensive to burn trash. So if you think about composting, where you can sell the finished product, the tipping fee, the cost to us, is much lower than tipping trash. So the future savings are when we have enough scale and we're getting this out of the trash. But it is important to understand upfront, day one of starting this program, it will be a cost to the municipality. And when we went to ours, and we explained that, we said, this is the cost of leadership. This is what it's going to take. Now, in Westchester, that cost is gone. But we're a few years down the road and we have bigger scale. There is now no more cost. That 5,000, when we give that presentation in Westchester, that $6,000 a year for hauling is gone.
Right, because the county stepped up. They saw the critical mass of municipalities that had adopted, and they offered to pick up the tab for that from the county. And how many how many municipalities in Westchester are doing this now?
We have over half of the county participating, significantly over half the county.
Wow.
And we're in a county of 1 million people. So the program is very, very widespread in Westchester and definitely ready for Long Island.
Definitely. Okay, Karen. Claire, your hand is still up. Are you?
Oh, no,
do you
no,
have a
no, I'm sorry.
Follow-up question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Karen Bloomer.
Hi there, everyone. Okay, I have, let's see, 3 questions. Ron, did you do all that ordering out before you were married?
I don't do ordering out.
Oh, I thought you just said that you did all that, and then on Sunday you would look at your refrigerator.
That's what I hear from my friends.
Oh.
We don't dispose of food on like that on Sunday. That's what we hear from friends that never thought about this before, or people that are using rolls of paper towels. And you say to them, "Have you ever thought about a dish towel?" And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh," but they never thought about it till they saw they were filling up that green bin, and it was sort of in their face.
Oh, right. Paper towels, actually, they compost really well and they help everything. Okay, so I was wondering, the people who manage waste, you said are the DPW. Is that for Westchester County or just in Scarsdale?
So every municipality is a little bit different. In Scarsdale, it's our Department of Public Works. Very often it is the Department of Public Works that manages, the town's sanitation department. Some towns just don't have a public works. Some towns just have what's called a highway department, and the highway department does the sanitation function. Whatever department does your sanitation function in your town, whatever it's called, that's what this would fall under, because they're managing sanitation and recycling. And as Ron mentioned in the beginning, we very purposely call this program Food Scrap Recycling Program, because we really do want it included in the municipal menu, in the standard municipal menu of recycling. Not only for the municipality, but for the average resident. So like if you go to places that have been doing this for places like Scarsdale that have been doing it for many years, but then places in, let's say, Canada, in Canada, like when you move into your home, you get your blue bin for recycling, you have your bin for trash, and you get your green bin for organics, for food. And so it's really part of the municipal menu. And that's really our ultimate goal here as well with this program.
Okay. Yeah, because that's way ahead of us. I think there's a little of that on Long Island, but all the separate bins. I was wondering, did you get, how did you approach the DPW? Did you have somebody who knew them, or just knocked on the door or picked up the phone and said, here we are, we want to, we're the lunatic fringe who wants this to get going? And, were they receptive right away, or did you have to do a lot of work on that?
So, Ron and I, we chair our town environmental committee. And, as Rachel mentioned, we've worked with our Department of Public Works on a lot of different environmental initiatives. So we did an LED streetlight conversion. We've worked on the solar panel conversions. We've worked on pesticide policy. We've worked on various recycling programs, as you can see. So we work with them on many different things. And I think really the key to building a great rapport with your public works department, or whoever your municipal partner is really taking on a lot of the work yourself.
Exactly.
Never ever, dumping, really literally just never dumping on someone else, always saying, what, we're going to do the work. We're going to look into the bins and the bags and the trucks and the routes and the site setup. We're going to design the sign. We're going to do the guide. We're going to do it all. But, you're still our partner, and we need you to basically allow, us to have this site here and manage this site. And this will be your piece. And the rest, including, by the way, all of the outreach, that will be our piece. And I think that when you do that initiative after initiative, and you develop a sense of trust, because they know that you mean it, right? You're not going to just say, Ron and I are never going up to them saying, we really need this and you should do this, right? Like,
Right.
I don't think that's ever come out of our mouths. We go up to them saying, we've done all the work, we've done all the research, we have this whole thing to present, and we're going to do it, and we're not going to let you down, and we're going to be with you, and we're going to stay with you through this, and it's going to succeed. And by the way, we're going to be the leaders here. And not just we, meaning me and Ron, but Village of Scarsdale and this DPW department. And I mean, our DPW department, our superintendent of public works, they have won awards for being leaders. And by the way, they are leaders. They have been partners and leaders with us. And so I think, creating positivity around these programs is so important. And that really just comes from putting in the work, boots on the ground, dirty work, high level work, whatever work it takes. Dragging bins, testing bins. Ron and I tested a lot of bins. We had a lot of rotting food.
Just wanted to say one thing though. For you, we did all that. And this is the beauty. What you need to do is just get your DPW to come visit. Every DPW that comes just says, I didn't realize how easy this was. So that right now is your ask of your village officials and your DPWs.
And yeah, that's a really good point. It's a lot easier. We're version like 101. I mean, there's 25 over 25 towns in this county alone, let alone we've helped a lot of towns in Connecticut and other places start. I mean, this is not, this is the norm now, right? For at least for our county, it's the norm. So when you come and you come to your tour, you're going to bring with you your head of your superintendent of public works or whoever. You'll bring them with you and they'll see how it works. And by the way, on that tour, we also bring our superintendent of public works on the tours as well, so that it's not just a couple of environmentalists testifying that this is what to do. It's actually our town, our municipal government as well, saying, yes, this works and it's just fine.
Yeah, down here, it's not the DPW, but we have like 16, they're called LPUs, local planning units, that manage waste. And that's a great idea to maybe when we work with them a little to get them to come up and look. I think that's terrific. I wanted to ask also, has DEC been any help to you in any way? And did you have any like seed money to begin this?
DEC is 110% behind all this. The New York State has a goal to reduce waste, and everybody knows the only way to do that, the big piece left, is food scraps. So absolutely, DEC is extremely helpful. There can be some grant money available. There are some reimbursements for some of the bins, but we really tried to make this program pretty economically feasible. So to get started.
And at one point you were letting people copy your homework, and I'd like to know, is that still allowed? Can people still access your sticker designs and flyer designs and sign design and sign vendor and bin vendors? Is that all available?
Yep. Once the town has visited and has gotten the approval, we are happy to share all that material and all the pricing and everything. So you'll get everything that we get at our scale.
Could I ask, Ron, who in Albany has been helpful to you from DEC? Which heads? We're in touch with some of them. I was just wondering, Sally Rowland or who would,
Sally's great. Yep.
Are there others that, might be good?
I mean, DEC is not very involved in this program, so this is
No.
really a local thing. I mean, they're extremely supportive, but the work happens at the local level.
Okay, great.
Just to answer Beth's question while we go to the next person, we do this as volunteers. Yes. So.
And we have Brian, and then Mark, and then Claire.
Oh.
Hey everyone, this is Brian. So I've got a little experience in the food scrap hauling and collection field there, and I actually started a small collection service here on Nassau County, Long Island. It's called Fingerprint Compost. Not here to plug that, but have you guys worked with the collection side of it at all? I see that it's focused on drop-off, which I definitely think is a great entry point. And it's really great, the toolkit that you guys put together. It's really awesome. And definitely think people could implement it here on Long Island. But just curious about any, curbside collection programs that you've maybe worked with. And also just to point that, I don't know if you have any information on this, but here in Nassau County and kind of Long Island in general, commercial food waste facilities are few and far between, I believe. So that's really all I wanted to touch base on.
It's a great question about curbside. So in Scarsdale, we do now do curbside pickup, but we did not start that way. We started with a drop-off site, and we recommend everybody start with a drop-off site because it's just, it's a much simpler ask of your municipality and your staff. Let it organically grow from there when they're ready. Even if somebody came to us and said, we're ready to start curbside day one, we would urge them to still do a drop-off site. Let everybody just get comfortable with it. And if you start curbside 6 months down the road, great. But usually we want to get everybody comfortable with the program. But yes, it's a great point. It's great to expand it through curbside, and we have done that here. And when a municipality is ready, In the same way we gave you the presentation about a drop-off site, we do that for places around trucks and pickup and all that other stuff.
And also just to answer your question, yes, we did work with carting companies. You know, we had the town put out a bid to all the different carting companies initially. We also work with composting facilities. You know, we made sure that everything, you know, worked with the composting facility that we were using. And just to let you know, I realize that what you're saying about that there's not a lot of commercial composting facilities in Long Island, but it's a little bit chicken or the egg, right? So we didn't have one in Westchester County. So what happened? We started a program, the program grew, and then because the program grew and now there was this massive flow of organics, well, now there is a commercial composting facility in Westchester County and we're keeping it in the county. And the reason why they were able to open up and be profitable is because there was a flow of organics. So, you know, you little bit have to, and initially we were taking it outside of Westchester County to a commercial composting facility. So really, we encourage everyone to, you know, get started and then those facilities will come.
Thank you.
Yep. Mark?
Hi, a couple of questions. I'm curious as to the just a raw number. How much of total food waste out there, industrial, commercial, institutional, resident, how much is residential?
I'm not sure what the number is.
Okay, as a percentage? No? Okay.
There's a
We
lot
know-
of food waste, commercial, there's a lot in commercial and residential. I don't know the number off the top of my head though.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
okay.
I
No,
knew
we
that once upon a time, but I don't remember.
That's okay. We know that about 33% of the total solid waste in the town of Southold is food waste. We have those numbers, but I'm not sure residential, how much against the total scheme that is. It's okay. The other thing is,
even a nationwide statistic wouldn't transfer to Southold because a nationwide statistic would be including like agricultural waste and large industrial waste, which is not applicable,
Right.
you know, in that municipality.
okay, it's going to be region specific. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we have one
There
restaurant.
was a Long Island study done, but also that, you know, Westchester, after there was a critical
Wait.
mass of many municipalities that were participating in the food scrap recycling, then Westchester County hired an engineering firm, I'm blanking on their name right now, to do $1 million food scrap study where they found out like what the breakdown of
I
the
guess,
waste
Mark,
streams were.
do you want to tell us sort of what you're thinking? Because we could help think through with you sort of why do you want to know, and then we can get sort of figure out.
Yeah, that's easy enough. We did a 30-day, 30-family pilot 2 years ago, and we came up with, and we confirmed the EPA and the DEC numbers of 1/2 pound per person per day. I mean, it was 0.51 is what we came up with. So we didn't need to redo that, but the fact that it is out there, Southold is split 50-50 between self-haulers, people who bring their own stuff to the transfer station, and the other half have carters. So we're focusing on the self-haulers right now, and that's going to be 3 tons a day at 100% compliance. So they're going to be mixing the greens with the browns at the municipal yard waste facility, and they started with 2 grocery stores, the IGAs. So I'm just wondering if it's a lot of people. It's 23,000 people. I'm just wondering. That's why I'm wondering, because is it worth the lift? I know it is, but is it worth the lift for the town to take this on if it's going to be a big headache for them? And the second half of that question is, we have food scrap laws for large generators, 2,000 pounds rolling average over a week. We don't have a lot of those around, and we don't have an AD here. So therefore, we would like to see it turn into compost and go back onto the farms. I mean, that's our goal personally for this town. And I'm just wondering if the DEC has made any inroads to not just large generators, but moving the way down through commercial and then into residential.
So let me touch on the first part. It's a great question about, residential and commercial. And it's fantastic, right? When you can get a supermarket, I mean, they waste so much food. It's so sad. And often, it's just massive amounts of produce that's just getting tossed, which compost great. And we considered when we were doing this program, should we focus on residential versus commercial? And the reason that we focus on residential, and this goes back to what Michelle was talking about, the mindset, is that even though we probably could have gotten 6 tons day one from a supermarket, we wanted to impact the residents, because we wanted them to then, when we went to restaurants and other places, we wanted to be able to say, hey, this is a community value here. This is what people believe in, and sort of change that mindset. Now, what you're talking about is very important, right? We had a place to bring it to that already had some scale. And so if to get started, they needed 2 supermarkets because they needed scale right away, that's great. That can be an anchor of food that then you add on all the residential piece and get that mind shift going with. I don't know if Michelle, you want to take the other.
Yeah, just a couple things. First, I follow your calculations, but just remember, it does take, it's not like every single person is going to be doing it right away. It is going to be scaling up over time. That's going to be a direct correlation to, outreach, basically your outreach. But it does take time to scale up to those to that 30,000 where every single person is doing it. So that's one thing. The second thing, your question with respect to the New York State large generator law. So unlike Vermont, when they passed their organics law, they had a step down provision, which said first, it's only going to be applicable to large generators. So large generators have to food scrap recycle. And then as it went down and down and down over time, eventually then, and now, as you may know, it's in place for residents. So now residents in Vermont are actually required to food scrap recycle. Like they can't put organics in the trash. We do not have those same step down provisions in the New York State law. So the New York State law just applies to large generators. But what we're doing is we're doing it anyway, right? So we're saying, okay, it's not in the law. People are not required to do it, but it doesn't mean it just means that we weren't able to get that in the law. And by the way, it just means we weren't able to get that in the law then, right? We still could. And how is that going to happen? How is that amendment going to happen? Well, it's going to happen by all of us, all of our towns saying, we're doing it anyway because we need to help our environment and we need to do it now. We can't wait for the law to catch up. And by the way, we're going to make the law catch up because we're going to have all these people doing it. And then that's going to force the law. That's going to force our legislators to amend it. So I just wanted to touch on that question.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so happy to see that we haven't had a major drop off at 7 o'clock on the dot, because it just goes to show what a interesting and important conversation this is. And I hope I'm not cutting the Q&A discussion too short, but I don't want to go over too much. So I'm going to say thank you to Ron and Michelle.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you for the great questions. We really appreciate the dialogue.
Thanks for your time.
And I'm
Bye.
going to turn it over. Bye. And we will plan a field trip for the spring if you'll have us.
And we'll bring all our waste heads. Yes.
Yes, and we'll bring all our waste
You're
heads.
talking trash.
And you're allowed to bring on the tour, you can even bring your food scraps.
Okay. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for
Have a good
caring.
night.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi.
Bye.
Can you all still see
screen?
my screen? Can you see
Yeah.
my screen for the email? So this is basically an email that we drafted for everyone who would be interested in sending this to municipalities, like our leaders of municipalities. And we can also share this with as many people as we can also within our group. But basically we'll send this out in an email to everyone and as a document And sorry, I think someone's not muted.
Is that a baby? All right.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No worries. So yeah, basically this email would be a good draft email to send out to municipalities in favor, as Michelle and Ron were saying, of having our municipalities take that next step and take that lead. So this could be a good way to approach it and then have further dialogue from there. But I think if we have more people showing interest to municipalities, that there are people who want to see this change, who want to have some sort of recycling effort, food recycling effort or composting effort, then I think that that would be much more of a motivator to have our municipalities have this type of infrastructure. And I think that, you know, having that example of Michelle and Ron and showing how easy it is as they, you know, displayed in their presentation, I think this would be a great way to lead into that. So yeah, I'll be sending this out. No need to write it down or anything. It'll be sent out in the next email that we send with the recording of this meeting as well. But yeah, that's all I have. And Beth, you can go ahead with the updates.
Sure. Yeah, and I wanted to add, you know, I'm sure everyone on this call is savvy enough to look up their town hall address, but we can also, you know, make a list and include that just to make people's lives a little easier to send out the letter. And some towns actually have sustainability committees, so we started to put together a list of those too, so you could CC them, for
Yes.
example, and maybe try to work through them or with them. Because I noticed Ron and Michelle said they run their sustainability committees, and so that's really good. So let me
Could
just
I,
share.
oh,
share
Oh,
my
and
screen. Go ahead.
sorry, just quick question, quick comment before anyone else leaves. If you aren't part of our group, just drop your email in the chat and we can add you to our email list, because I think I saw some names that I didn't see before in our group. So if you're new to our group, please just drop your email. Carry on. I think Karen, you know,
yeah. My computer just blanks out occasionally. I was wondering, have you had any like early interest from any towns or people to get some compost, facility or work that would be a good place to start with? I mean, because we certainly can direct the letters and things to municipalities that we think, but have you had any early interest?
I had spoken to the town of Huntington last year, and I know Fran Whittlesey, who is or was on this call, also reached out to the town. So I think we're going to follow up with the ACERS committee. COVID kind of threw everything off with the town. We had a town councilwoman that was interested, but it just never got off the ground.
I remember that.
Claire's raising her hand. Maybe her town.
Well, I was just going to
no, I was just going to say that what they were saying about really going to the town and basically you're basically asking to be able to use their land. I mean, the land for collection, but that you're running the show. And I think they really are all looking for that, like just to go to them and say, oh, we really want this. I think that Ron was absolutely right. You have to go in there, like you've got the whole thing planned out. You've been giving presentations to, at the library. I mean, whatever it is, but you have to be really, sort of pushing composting already. And this is sort of the next step that you would really help the town get into this.
Well, Ron and Michelle were not doing any, like, when they first went to the town, they weren't already giving library presentations. They started the presentations after they got, the program running.
Right. But here in Port Washington, we're already pushing community composting.
So you're already out there.
We're already doing community composting, but we would like, people are, saying, well, why doesn't the town do this? So sort of this idea of community composting is sort of already going around. So
you already have
it helps. And also
the space.
and also the relationship with the council people and you want to establish that relationship before you ask. You do all the asking.
If anyone, if anyone wants to reach out to their DPW, right? I'm here in Port Washington. If you want to reach out to your DPW and you're going to write them a letter and you want for me to give you any feedback on it as someone who got the town of Greenberg to do this, following Ron and Michelle's lead, I can do that. Ron and Michelle are available. Also, you have their email addresses. And I think, we'll set up a date in the spring for us to bring our waste heads, as Karen said, our waste heads to come to the site.
Okay.
And maybe we can visit a couple of sites too, because in Scarsdale, they do have the, it's at the recycling facility, but not every municipality has that. So in Greenberg, we set up the drop-off at a parks facility. And we also set one up at the town hall because that was closer to disadvantaged communities. So we made sure that it was accessible. So those opportunities are pretty close to each other.
Yep. Road trip sounds like a road trip.
Road trip. I love it. Road trip.
Definitely. We'll try and coordinate something when the weather's a little better.
Yeah.
But two quick announcements. I put in the chat the web link, the website for the New York State Organic Summit, which is going to take place on April 5th and 6th in Albany. And they're doing it as a hybrid event where you can either go in person or attend virtually. And it's going to talk about, of course, organics recycling, anaerobic digesters, large-scale composting operations, community composting, everything we're discussing in these meetings. And there's a student discount available. They have, suites at the Hampton Inn that they've, made discounts for. So just be sure to sign up for that. You can also take a tour of the Bethlehem composting facility there. So I put the link. It's through NYSAR. It's $145 with the early bird, and with the tour is $175. So be sure to sign up before March 15th. And on the screen, you see that coming up in May, and I'm sure we'll talk about this at our next meeting, which is April, I forget what, I think we have it on the agenda. Our next meeting is Wednesday, April 13th. But in May, it's Compost Awareness Week, and it's international, but locally what people do is we usually have ambassadors that do like composting workshops, composter bin sales, social media campaigns, like our group, Long Island Organics Council, will be posting information, trying to get news coverage or do school presentations, all this kind of stuff. So there's actually a guide called How to Celebrate Compost Awareness Week. So I'd love to get some people involved in that, and get some events going and some outreach surrounding that. So we'll share this again in a follow-up email as well. And that's all I had. I don't know if Judy, if you wanted to mention the DEC has applications open for community grants.
Yes. So we can put that link in the chat. But the DEC has some community grants open, and the grant period runs from March 1st, 2022 until February 28th, 2023. So that might be a good link to share with anyone that who is interested in starting a community grant program, or sorry, a community composting program. And hopefully we can get our municipalities in on this so soon. I think it's about time that we have composting and a little bit of good change on the island. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're excited to have our next meeting in April. So we'll let you know within the next few weeks what our next topic will be. But until then, look out for that email draft letter for municipalities, and we'll send out the information that we have for those representatives.
Yeah, definitely give us ideas about what you want topics to be. want to be responsive to what everyone's interested in.
Yes.
So, can I just say, Judy, and Beth, I'm assuming that since we have these lovely people from Scarsdale, that nobody on Long Island has done anything like this, that they're the closest model around. Is that correct?
I believe
From
so.
Mark, yeah,
I
Mark.
mean, that whoever does it could be the first, right? The first.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're going into the town board in Southold with. I'm not from Southold, but because we
Mhm.
work so closely together, we're trying to get them to lead, actually be the first to do something. And
Right.
there's an appeal to that, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that I said the town of North Hempstead will be going after it too. So
You know,
it's good.
I got to ask you, Claire. I was at a thing over in Malloy College like 15 years ago, and they were giving it the supervisor was giving out these countertop buckets that they bought for, I don't know, $3 or $4,
Mhm.
and they gave 10,000 away, and they sold out in 3 days,
Mhm.
and they did it again and got rid of another 10,000. Whatever happened to that person, that program?
I have no idea. I've been here for 25 years, and the most composting was they supplied these whatever the bins, and did like a seminar on backyard composting or something like that, and that's about it. That was they had various seminars to teach about backyard composting, but no, nothing in the direction of municipal composting, but that's what we're working on, our group. So, I mean, this was very timely for us. It was a great presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was really
Claire,
wonderful.
what's your group's name?
Transition Town, Port Washington.
Okay.
So we're in Port. But we're
Wonderful.
we are connected with our council person and our assemblywoman and the assemblywoman for our district compost at my community compost. So, it's whatever, it's top of mind, and we just need to get the town to work with us. But we have, now we have like a model to be able to present to them, which is great.
We really should also present some of these efforts, like especially with the town council or person, and what your program looked like. And we're really hoping to do that with our towels, taking a lead on zero waste. We've been a little sluggish, but we're kind of working on getting our website, tweaked up to do just that. So, do you live near Port Washington? Then you hit it and you go and you see, what you guys are doing. So, and then for us to share that with links to, does LIAC have anything on their website with some actual, on the ground projects like yours?
What's LIAC?
LIAC.
Long Island
Long
Organic
Island
Council.
Organic Council.
I don't know that we can have a website, but we have our Facebook page. So that's a great place if people want to share what they're doing to, inspire other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Beth, we have to talk about the social media part of this thing. We've got somebody now with Norfolk Environmental Council that is very good at this and very well thought out process-wise. So if we do something on the ground at a fair or whatever have you, let's all talk about that so in advance so we can share those on Instagram, for example.
Okay. I was just cutting and pasting our chats.
You're hiding your inbox of 17,164 emails.
God. Yep.
Can't understand why she never responds.
That's my life. But
This was a great meeting. I'm gonna have to head out now, but thank you everyone for coming. And
Thank you. Thank you for doing this one.
This was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
you.
thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
See everyone.
Beth for
Bye.
Queen.
Thanks. Bye.